Hello, Nir. I want to talk a little bit about one of the themes in your book. It is about masks. You talk about how people wear masks to sometimes to hide and sometimes to show things for the outside world. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I think that I was interested, especially in Las Buenas Personas, in the question of masks, because it dealt with a collaborator that part of their role in the regime was to pretend, and I was interested in this subject, not like a mask that hide the real face, but people that the mask become the real face. So this was interesting for me in a specific novel, because I think that the characters in Las Buenas Personas, you cannot really see the real face, but the real face is like a combination of masks, which I find an interesting theme also to think about characters in other novels that I read and I write.
Las Buenas Personas, the adjective good, like it's a very subjective word. But as opposed to it, you have the bad people. So if you have the good people, who would the bad people be?
Well,
in your novel, you have the good people.
The title of the novel is totally ironic. I don't think that if you read the novel, you see there are good people and bad people there. So it's like a joke that I made on the premise that people can talk about the Second World War and about the Holocaust and try to find good people and bad people. But I think that anyone who read the novel can see that all the characters, even the people that are responsible for atrocities and all the other characters cannot be defined in any way as good or bad. So it was like my kind of irony towards the discourse about good and bad in the Second World War in general.
One of the themes in the novel is that we tend to see the past in this very black and white way. There were good people and there were bad people in the past, and we see our past, and in this case the Jewish people past, in these terms, like we were the victims and they were the perpetrators. And you're trying to disrupt this narrative with your work. But one of the main themes of the Holocaust and the stories that are being told about the Holocaust is that we need to remember. Like we need to remember, but you're saying that maybe we need to remember a bit differently, I suppose. What?
Well, I think that there is the story of the Holocaust and the history of the Holocaust and to educate people about the Holocaust, not specifically from a Jewish perspective, but from a humane perspective, which is very important. But there is also the way that the Holocaust is, especially I think in Israel, I don't know about other Jewish communities, is being used since you are very young in order to make you feel like the internal victim of history. This is something that Israel is very evident since, I would say, kindergarten or elementary school, and I think that this is very dangerous feeling to shove to the throats of children regarding the Holocaust. So the Holocaust for itself as a historical event, there's no doubt that it should be learned. But I think that the use, especially in Israeli society, in the Holocaust is very disturbing for me, because when you teach someone from very young age to see itself as a victim and to understand his history also as a history of victimhood, which is not true, because the history of the Jews in Europe or in Arab countries is much more complex, and there were many achievements and also many good and interesting times. I think that it's very dangerous, and part of the problem in Israel is this sense of victimhood.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you is there is a current narrative, like throughout the world, just as it is for the past, that there are good people and there are bad people, and good people always do good things, bad people always do bad things. In your novel, are you trying to make a comment on current affairs too, in that regard?
I think that El Sombro del Mundo is a very contemporary novel, unlike Las Buenas Personas, which deals with I think, the way that young people especially live under capitalism from this different perspective. So of course it has relevance to the way that we live in our time today, because I think it deals with the encounter between a specific person or persons and their set of values and their ethic, and what happened to them when they encounter different forces in the world. I think this encounter between the individual and the forces of the world was always very interesting in literatures. I think Balzac books are very interesting in this kind. And I think that every period or every historical period or every contemporary literature try to understand in different way the conditions that the individual meet when he goes out to the world. I think this is part of the process that literature always dealt with.
One thing that I was talking this morning with Faniaos, we're talking about how they say that the Jews are the people of the book, and the people of the book. And she said something very interesting. She said that, well, that is something that was said first in the Quran about the Jews. They are the people of the book. And she said that she would like it much better if the people said the Jews are the people that teach their kids to read by the time when they are 3. So what do you think about this concept, the people of the book, as in reference to the Jews, the modern Jews specifically?
Well, I think that it's an important tradition to think about and to understand Jews through it, but I don't think it's a living and breathing tradition in our life today. I think that this is part of the unique case of Judaism and the way that Judaism and the Jews preserve their culture and preserve their religious ceremonies and gestures and beliefs, and kept a very interesting discussion about all this through the years. But I think that our day and age, it's maybe unfortunate to say, but the Jews were normalized like all the other societies, especially in Israel. So if you go to the Israeli society, you see the same habit and tendencies that you see in every Western society, maybe not so Western. So I think that today it's like more like a nostalgic gesture, or a kind of talk about the people we want to be, but not necessarily the people that we are.
Okay. And just to finish, I have 3 words, and I want you to tell me what they mean for you. What's a story?
A story is a way to interpret the world, and not the world like the universe. And I think stories for some people are necessary. For me, it was always necessary. Before I even started to write, I was inventing stories because this was my way to understand and interpret the world. Also through fantasy and through creating stories and develop stories. So I think stories are necessary for people, like sleeping or like every other activity.
And just to end, what is a book?
A book? I don't know. Something I love. That's what I have to say. But yeah, something I love. I always loved books.
Thank you very much.